in some positive news, the Stop Killing Games movement is looking like it's going to be successful. I haven't spoken about this yet, but basically a guy who looks like I don't know, Rick from Rick and Morty without the alcoholism and the scientific brain, which really is the guy that you want to launch any sort of movement to do with video games. Is a dude with hair so fucking crazy you can't tell if he's like he looks like a really bald guy standing in front of Weird Al Yankovic, so you can see Weird Al's hair behind him, and then there's a very bald guy, but then you get a bit closer and you realize that there's actually one person that's somehow really bald but also has heaps of hair. That's the guy that launched this. Who is this? What's the guy's name? I can't remember. Was it Accursed Farms? Is that his name? I can't remember. Basically, with video games becoming increasingly digital, and they're digital-only products, essentially. Like, even when you buy a video game from, EB Games, even if you get a cartridge, sometimes you're still downloading it from the internet. You get a box. I remember when video games used to come with maps and game manuals and tips and, like, fold-out posters, and it was like a cool physical thing, and you got a disc, sometimes 6 discs. There was like you were buying something. But now you're downloading a license to temporarily play a game until the corporation deems it unprofitable, and then they shut it down and you can never play it again. And that sucks, dude. Like, I'll tell you a story. I remember best game I ever played was Warhammer Online. It was like Warhammer Age of Reckoning. It was such a fun game. It was like again one of the next World of Warcraft killers, when they were coming out every 5 years. But it was one of the most well-made games with a beautiful environment. The graphics were cool. The world building was amazing. The PvP was so fun. I never enjoyed PvP in MMOs ever until I played War. And I loved that game so much, and the character creation and the cities and the music and the environments and the quests and everything like that was so fun to play. And I played that game so much, and eventually the player base dwindled and they shut it down. And you couldn't play it anymore. And then in response to this, the player base set up servers of their own, private servers, right? And the devs who lovingly made this game, the developers of this game that got laid off or fired or whatever, and were moved off the game. This game that they spent years and years and years building and then maintaining and running and improving just got shut down out of nowhere, right? So they had nothing to show their children that didn't exist yet or were too young to understand. Ancestors or family members or new friends or spouses or anyone they wanted to show, they could not show what they poured their heart and soul into. So then these private servers showed up and people started playing the game that they wanted to play, that the company that started Warhammer Online was making no money from at all and had intentionally shut down. These private servers were costing the game nothing. And then they ended up taking all these private servers down, suing people, threatening legal action, all this kind of stuff. And I remember at the time thinking, man, these people just want to play this game that they bought, that they paid for. They paid a monthly license to access. And you're suing these people to protect something that you have decided to make no money from, that these private servers aren't even making any money from. They just want to play their game that they love, that they bought and paid for. And that's when this like movement first personally hit me. But recently a game I loved got completely shut down. I really liked playing what was it called? It was like that Warner Brothers game with all the fighting characters. Had like Batman and Superman and Adventure Time characters in it as well. Rumbleverse or something like that. It was like a Smash Bros type thing. They just shut that game down, and I loved playing that game. I had a lot of fun with it. I'd never really enjoyed fighting games before. I know it wasn't the most competitive thing. People had a lot of problems with it, but I liked it. And if a game is going to shut down, the servers, I understand that because servers cost game companies money, and if they can't afford to keep the servers running, I understand that, right? But what I don't understand is like with Warhammer Online, surely I've downloaded all the files and the environments and stuff. Surely like I could walk around and do the quests like by myself, right? Surely there could be some version of that game that could exist entirely run on my computer because I paid for the game. I downloaded all the files, and when I open it up, it runs, but you just switched it off, right? And same with this fucking fighting game that I enjoyed. Sure, okay, I understand. I'm not going to be able to play online co-op with people. I get that. That's fine. I'm not expecting companies to pay money to run servers for a game that they operate on a loss. But I paid for that game. I bought it. I bought some skins. I bought the Founders Pack. I loved it that much. And it just it's gone. I can't open it. It doesn't work anymore. And it's like, I paid for that, dude. With my money. You know, World of Warcraft, I love that game so much. I've been playing it since 2006 when it came out. I wouldn't know what to do if they shut it down. I've got so many memories locked into like Westfall and Barrens and Stormwind City and Orgrimmar and so many places where like if probably there will come a time where at some point World of Warcraft will shut down. You know, it's not all things end, but I wouldn't know what to do if I couldn't like be like, man, I would love to just wander around Stormwind City, even if there's no other players or whatever. I would love to do some quests that don't require other players, or I would love to just wander around Elwyn Forest and listen to the music, you know? Like, it would be heartbreaking if that game shut down and it was just taken from me, and anyone who tried to set up a private server would get sued into oblivion. And that's what the current state of the games industry is that these video game companies, they create these games and they make a bunch of money and then they stop being profitable. And even if they are very profitable, they lay off they often lay off entire teams that made games profitable. They don't reward them for their efforts. And then the second that a game stops being profitable, or the second they can use a game as a tax write-off, they just take it down and you can't play it anymore because you didn't buy the game. You bought a license to play the game temporarily. And this Stop Killing Games movement is the answer to this, right? This guy launched a petition in Europe. And if in Europe, if you get enough signatures for any issue and it's over 1 million signatures you need, they will have a look at it in Parliament and see if they can do anything about it, right? And it's not a perfect idea because, like other people like Pirate Software have mentioned, it's not particularly realistic for something like an MMO to be completely offline because often it's using technology that has been licensed and isn't owned by Blizzard or whoever made the game, right? But that's why issues like this need to be brought into Parliament so that they can go, this is an issue, let's figure it out. We'll talk to experts and work out some legislation to make it, workable in real life. Whereas this Pirate Software guy is like, oh, this is fucking stupid. It hasn't addressed this particular very specific scenario, so the entire movement needs to be thrown out in the bin and we shouldn't even try. But thankfully, he did raise that stupid opinion because that very bitter response to this hopeful, positive idea pro-consumer movement went very viral, and people are now signing the petition in spite of him, which I find very funny, right? And that's why I'm talking about it on here, because it's something I care very deeply about. The ability to own things is very important, even if they're a digital product. Like, I did my comedy special. This is a great example of this. Death Threats Don't Scare Me. I did it on my website as a $5 digital download, no DRM. You buy it, you get the file, you can do whatever you want with it. You just can't put it on torrent sites. You can't put it on video sharing sites. But if you want to watch it on a laptop and then transfer the file to a phone and then fucking airdrop that to your TV and watch it with friends. Like, you know, you bought the file. As long as you don't pirate it and re-upload it, I don't care. It's yours, right? And you know, I was a little bit worried about that. I was worried, oh fuck, maybe someone's just gonna, maybe I won't make any money out of this. But I made a bunch of money out of it, and people really appreciated it. And people sent me photos of them like watching it with friends, and I wasn't like, oh, 10 people should have paid me $5. You're doing pirate. I was like, oh, this is great. You know, he bought a thing and he's using his product. That's awesome. That's why I made it, so that people can enjoy it, right? But that's not what these games companies want to do. They want to make every single video game an online, connected, permanently thing that they can turn off at any moment. And these companies, they do this with movies, right? They'll make a whole film and then just write it off as a tax expense, never release it. Or a movie will disappear from a streaming service, and then there's no way for you to legally buy it or legally stream it, but the company will, in some cases, sue you for illegally downloading it, right? You see this with region locking. Like there are so many movies or games or things that I cannot purchase legally or watch legally from Australia. My only option is to pirate it, but that comes with potential legal consequences, right? So that's what Stop Killing Games, the petition, is supposed to solve. And I'm very glad they've gotten their million subscribers, their million signatures, which is really good. But they're still asking for more signatures because a lot of them could be fake. And they need to be signatures from the EU. So I haven't signed this because I'm not from there. My signature won't count. But if you're from the EU, you should go and sign this petition, because what we've seen, like the mandate that they made in the EU with charging cables, they said USB-C is the standard. Stop making new cables unless you can prove that you need a different one. And all of a sudden, way less cables got made. I don't need any more fucking cables. I've got my lightning cable for my old phone, and I've got a USB-C. It works for everything else. That directly benefited my life as a consumer. That's awesome, right? That's what happens because the EU is such a big market. If they make it something illegal or mandate something in the EU, often it affects America, Australia, Asia, all the other countries, because it's too expensive to do one thing in the EU and another thing over here, right? So, and even just recently, a game called Anthem just shut down. And it wasn't a particularly successful game, but people did spend their money on it, and people bought DLC, and people paid the purchase price of the game, and they just shut down the servers, and you can't play it ever again. There's a game, a much smaller game that genuinely best game I ever played. It's called Monday Night Combat. It was a $15 game. I was playing it in like 2011 or 12. I got so cracked at that game. I got so good. Me and my friends would play it every single day after school, and it eventually died. And it was really, really, really sad. They shut down the Australian servers. We played on the American servers. Eventually those shut down. Now there are no servers. But the other day, just a couple months ago, I thought, man, I love that game so much. And it was a multiplayer game, so you can't play it by yourself. But I thought, man, I love that game so much. I just want to walk around in the game, right? And I downloaded it, and I walked around in the game. And it was a game that I bought. It was a game that no one plays anymore. It's a dead game. There are no servers left. But I was able to spin it up and have a little play around. And I was flooded with all of this nostalgia and all these good memories that I had of playing this game when I was like 16, 17. And I got to hear the music, and I got to shoot the guns and jump around as the characters and remember all of their abilities. And there was no one else in the game. It's dead. It was an arena shooter. I'm wandering around an arena that no one else is in. But man, I had fun. I loved it. And if that game got just fucking taken down like all these other live service games, I would never be able to do that ever again. And that is wrong, because I bought that game. I paid for it. It's mine. It shouldn't be able to be taken away from me. This whole idea that all these companies have of like deleting the idea of a product or making things, making it illegal to own anything, essentially, is what they're trying to do. They're saying, no, that's like when they deleted Warhammer Online and people tried to spin up their own private servers. You know, EA, I think it was who made it. Fact check me on this, on that. I think it was EA. They said, no, you can't play the thing you paid for. That's ours. We're taking the ball and going home. It's not profitable for us to run the service, which is totally fair, but you can't take on that expense yourself. So this which will hopefully turn into legislation, the Stop Killing Games movement, is to force game companies to figure out a solution to this that makes sense for everybody. No one's expecting live service games that aren't profitable anymore to maintain multiplayer servers. But if we buy a game, we should be able to run private servers of it because we've bought the game. And if someone wants to take on the expense of running a private server, that's how it should be done. I mean, that's how games used to be. I remember playing Counter-Strike 1.6. Someone would pay like a $15 a month fee to run their own private server. They'd have all their own rules. And you would join their server. There were no public servers. Private servers were how it worked. So I think this is a really, really, really important thing where if you buy something, you should be able to access it, play it, watch it whenever you want. I don't like this idea of licensing video games, because if I'm going to pay fucking $100 video games cost now, that's what they want them to cost, I should be able to play it whenever I want at any time, even if the company goes bankrupt, even if the game is dead. I should be able to open it up and walk around the environment and be flooded with nostalgia like I was with Monday Night Combat. That just makes sense. So I really, really, really support the Stop Killing Games movement. Go and sign the petition if you can. I'll leave it in the description. If you are in the EU, please, please, please do this, because it will positively affect video game players forever.